Hello, welcome to Pieta. My name is Leanne Hadley, and we are on our second session of our Power of Ritual study. Tonight, I want to just talk to you a few moments about the different rituals in the Bible. So, we started with kind of the power of rituals. Just what makes a ritual so powerful? Where are they in our lives? What would we miss without them? And what do we get because of them? And then tonight, or today, whenever you're meeting, we're going to talk about rituals as in the Bible. So the codified rituals in the Bible. And we cannot possibly go through all of them because there are so many of them. But many of the ones that were prescribed in the Bible we still use today in our churches, but they're very different than the ones that we used to, that as they were in the Bible. So for example, this idea, the first one is sacrifices and offerings. So in the Bible, it talks very early about sacrificing animals, sacrificing by burning things on the altar, bringing things to God in baskets, things like that. So there's all this sacrifice being talked about. And the motive behind the sacrifices was to say, God is an angry God, and we're going to sacrifice things to appease God. And if we don't do this ritual, God is going to get mad at us and punish us. That was sort of older Testament. And that came from this idea of, it was probably a mixture between the Greco-Roman gods and the early gods of the Greeks that were, fickle and were getting mad all the time. And then and then they're trying to understand, what is this one God that we worship? And so the sacrifices were like to this God, and then it took us a while to understand that this God doesn't demand sacrifices like animals and stuff like that. What this God demands are sacrifices like our time, mercy, compassion towards our brothers. Let go of your anger, sacrifice your anger so that you can be loving towards your neighbor. Sacrifice time spent on the internet or doing sports or something like that, so that you have more time to pray. Like, what does the Lord require of us? Our time, our energy, our love, our compassion, not just towards God, but towards our fellow beings. So you see how these rituals have transformed. Another one is baptism. We don't know what the early baptism was. That we don't know if there was a liturgy. We don't know anything much about it other than John was baptizing people, and then Jesus said, "Go forth and baptize people in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit." But exactly what baptism was, we just don't know. And so now, though, baptism in different denominations is completely codified. So like if you're Baptist, you can get baptized once at age 12, or maybe every time you go to a new church. In the United Methodist Church, you get baptized as an infant or an adult, but only once. So if someone came to me as a United Methodist pastor and said, "Will you baptize me?" I can't baptize them again, not legally under the church. And yet we don't know if Jesus baptized once or many times. So that has morphed into a real tradition in many of our churches. The same with the Last Supper. Jesus broke it in a home, and he said, "Do this as often as you will in remembrance of me." And now we do it. The Catholics do it every week, and they believe that it is actually the body and the blood of Christ, and only members can take it. In the United Methodist Church, only an elder can serve communion to the people and can bless the communion. So you see, it begins as one thing, and then it becomes codified in the church. So now we have all of these traditions, all of these rituals that we've been handed. And tonight, what I want us to do is look at those and say, which ones of these are important to me and which ones really aren't that important to me anymore. So I'm going to read to you some of them that are in the Bible. So there's sacrifices and offerings, giving of your tithes and your offering, your time. The act of circumcision, or doing something physically to your body to join a group of people. Sabbath observance, to be still, to set aside time for God, whether that be a day or a week or an hour a day. Sabbath rest, to rest yourself. Festivals and feasts. There are so many festivals and feasts in the Bible. They just go on and on and on. And we still have those, some religious, some in our own lives, like birthday parties. Fasting, to refrain from eating or drinking or looking at social media, to stop something so that you leave space for God and to have more time with God, to have more time to read the Bible, to have more time to love your neighbor, whatever that is. So a fast, you eliminate something so that you have more time to spend with other people. Prayer, of course, corporate prayer, unified prayers, prayer alone, silent meditation, all of that falls into the category of prayers. Baptism, we already talked about. And let's see if I have anything else on my list. Hold on. Oh, of course, the Last Supper, communion, we talked about that. Marriage. There are just so many rituals in the church. Now, if you grew up in a church, you probably have some rituals. If you didn't grow up in a church, I'll bet even then you've done some of the rituals of the church. Like maybe you didn't grow up in a church, but you were baptized, or you didn't grow up in a church, but you had a marriage ceremony. So think about all of the rituals related to the church that you've been part of or that you've witnessed. And the questions for today are two. First is, which of these are the most meaningful to you? Either when they happened or as a memory, or maybe when you witness it today. Which is the most meaningful to you? And the second question for today is, are any of these rituals that you participated in just not important to you? Like you could take or leave them, you don't care. Spend some time thinking about that, and then share with the group which rituals are the most important to you and have touched your lives the deepest, and which of these church rituals are you like, it doesn't mean anything, or it didn't help me, or maybe it even hurt you in some way. So spend some time thinking about rituals and share. And thank you for being here. Next week, we're going to look at the sort of the shape and the form of rituals. So what makes a ritual? What are the cycles, and what are the parts of a ritual? So we're going to get more and more personal with the rituals. Tonight, the church. Next week, we're going to move from the church into our own lives. All right? All right. I'll see you next week. Thank you for being here.